Hi, and welcome to Clapier. In this video, we will see how to create multiple versions of an app created in Clapier. What this means is, once you have created an app, you may want to add additional fields and test out the app, but at the same time do not want to modify the live app. In this scenario, you can have multiple versions of the app that won't be live for you to test out. You can also have versions of the multiples you create. But there will always be one live app and you can make any other version live once you are satisfied with it. Let's see how to do that. I have logged into my Clapier dashboard and I will use this process audit app that I've created earlier as an example. So this is what the app looks like. It has two sections. One is for general information that captures department, process name, etc. And the second section for compliance checks. This app also has additional configurations. If I go to Design App and go to Configuration, I have added statuses, a PDF, and I've also configured a workflow. Now let's say this audit is for the first quarter and I would like to have the same app for the second quarter having slight changes in the fields. So let's say in the second section, I will add an additional field for the second quarter. And if I don't want the changes to be visible in the live app, then I can create a version of this app. So in the design app itself, go to step 5, which is distribute. You will see version settings, click on it, and on the right panel, you will be able to create versions of your app. You can see the live version says initial version, which is the app that you begin with. To create a new version, simply click on create new version. Give a name. It can be anything like version 1, version 2, maybe your name. It really depends on you. So over here, I'll simply give in Q2 audit. Then under source app version, select the existing version from which you want the new version to be created from. So currently, I only have my initial version. If I have added multiple versions of this app, I will have a list over here to select from. So for now, I'll simply select initial version and click on save. You can see I now have two existing versions, the app that I started with and the new version that I added, based out of the initial version. You will also see an additional drop-down appearing at the top, from which you can select the app version. At a time, there will only be one live app, as mentioned earlier in the video. If you wish to change it, you can do so over here on the right panel. For now, I'll keep the initial version as the live app. And if I go to Design App and want to make changes to the new version before making it live, the version switcher will still appear at the top here. So I can click on that drop down and select the new version, which is Q2 audit, and make my changes in this app irrespective of it being the live app or not. So even though I switched it to Q2 audit, the initial version is still live. Now when I open the section, you can see the fields are exactly the same as the initial version. So for this new version, I will make the changes. I will simply add another field. Let's say I add a multi-line text and save it. I will also change the section name just a bit to make it more identifiable. Okay, now if I switch back to the initial version and open up the section, you can see the changes that I had made to the new version does not reflect over here. So in this way, you can keep adding fields and make changes to your configurations to new versions before making it live without it affecting the users who are actually using the live app. Now let's say in this initial version, I'll make a slight change to this section name. And if I switch back to the new version, you can see that change does not reflect over here, even though the new version was sourced from the initial app. So you will only get the version of the app that was there at that particular time. Just something to keep in mind. Now let's check out submissions. I'll go to App Home. Do note that since I am an app admin for this app, I am able to see the drop-down from which I can switch versions. No other user other than app admins will be able to see this and be able to switch to other versions. They can only use the app version that is live. I will show you that in a moment. For now, let's just assume you as an app admin are testing the app. So keeping the initial app, I'll make a submission. I'll just fill in some random details. I filled in all the details and I'll click on submit. All submissions can be viewed under the Submissions tab, like so. Now for the users who are using the app, who are not app admins, only this app will be available for them to make submissions. Even in the Clapier mobile app, the live version will be made available to them. So let's check it out. Over here in my mobile screen, you can see the Clapia app downloaded. You can download this app either on Play Store or App Store, and the moment you create your app, it will be live and ready to use. I'll click on the Process Audit app. Now over here, you can see the initial app is live with no changes visible from the other version. Now let's say I go back to the web app, and as an app admin, I will switch over to the other version even though the initial app is still live, and I'll make a submission. I filled in some details and now I'll click on Submit. If I go to the Submissions tab, you can see the submission that I've made from the new version. But as a user who is not an app admin and is using the live app, they will only be able to see the initial version, since that is live. So I'll head back to the mobile app to see how it looks, even though Q2 Audit is selected over here. Okay, so back to the mobile app, I'll again click on Process Audit, and if I scroll down, you can see it still says Q1. And if I make a submission, I'll click on Submit and go back to the web app. To view my submissions, I'll just refresh this. The live submission is submitted. As an app admin, you can make submissions irrespective of the version you select and which one is live, only on the web app. You will not be able to do so for the mobile app, and the other users who are using the app and are not app admins, if they are using the web app or the mobile app, they will only be able to see the live app and make submissions from it. Now let's say I want to make Q2 Audit as the live app. So I'll go back to Design App, go to Distribute, click on Version Settings, and on the right panel on the live version, select the drop down and click on Q2 Audit. I'll save this. Now you can see Q2 Audit is now live. And if I were to switch to the mobile app as a different user who's not an app admin, so again I click on Process Audit app in this mobile app, and if I scroll to the bottom, you can see it now says Q2 with the additional field that I added to this new version. And I can make a submission. Going back to the web app, to see the submission, I click on the Submissions tab, and it has been captured over here based on the live app submissions. Now, as I mentioned earlier in this video, you can create multiple versions of your initial app as well as the multiples that you create. So if you go to Version Settings, over here the Q2 version is sourced from the initial version. Now what if I want to create a version based on the Q2 version? So for that, I'll simply click on Create New Version, give a name, let's say Q3 Audit, and under Source App Version, if I select Q2 Audit and save it, this new version now that I'm creating will be based out of the Q2 Audit. So let's check it out. I'll go to App Home, and if I change this to Q3 Audit, you can see it is the same as Q2. I can make changes to this version as well. So keeping Q3 Audit, I'll make some changes. Let's say I change the section name and add an extra field. If I go to App Home, it reflects the changes for Q3. And if I select Q2, it does not affect it. So if I want, I can also make Q3 live once I'm satisfied with the app, or for this use case, once the third quarter starts. Now you can make changes not only for the sections or the fields in your app, you can also make changes to the configurations. So if you have statuses assigned to your app, you can add additional statuses for the different versions. So let's say for Q2, I add a separate status. And if I switch to the initial version and check the status, that new status will not appear here. Similarly, I could do the same thing for print settings as well as for workflows. You can also do that if you have any charts configured and automated reports. Keep in mind that for the users who have access to your app, they are independent of the versions. So no matter the number of versions you create for your app, the existing users will not change. So if I were to give this particular user submitter access and I switch versions, the user still remains and they will only be able to use the live app. Now if you want to delete versions, go to Version Settings and under Existing Versions, you will see the delete icon. So let's say I want to delete Q3 and Q2. So I'll simply click on the icon over here, type in this text in this text box, click on delete version. That version is now deleted and will no longer show in this drop down at the top. Now since Q2 is live, I will not be able to delete this version. So if you want to make the initial version live and delete Q2, then you will have to switch the live version first. And now the delete icon comes up for Q2. This will now be deleted. So in this way, you can create multiple versions of your app and make any of them live as and when necessary. You can create versions of the initial app as well as versions of the multiples that you create. If you have any query regarding version settings or on any other feature in Clapier, you can always request support by clicking on the button over here, or you can reach out to us directly at contact@clapier.com and we'll be happy to assist you. Thank you.